All right. So we'll do this. This one doesn't have any plus armor on it. It does have lightning and poison resistant stuff, but we're just going to take the gem out. So now we have an empty socket ring of decay, right? So this says I have 4,296 armor. Reduces physical damage taken from enemies of equal level by 41%, right? So I have a 41% reduction of physical damage taken. Non-physical damage taken is reduced according to your armor contribution. So if we go to the armor contribution section, and this is the same in tier 4, it's the same thing. This says I have a 50% armor contribution. So that is the inherent percentage that armor contributes to your base damage reduction against non-physical attacks, right? And then the rest is determined by your elemental resistances. And this doesn't show up in like your total damage reduction amount. It's like in addition. So armor having a 41% physical damage reduction, 50% of that would be applied to your resistances, right? So it's 51% of the 41, or 50% of the 41%, give or take. All right, so we'll say it's 20%. So that would give a 20% damage reduction on top of whatever's listed here because of your armor value, right? So if I go to fire resistance, for instance, this says reduces incoming fire damage by 26.1%. This applies to both direct fire and burning damage over time, right? If I add a flawless diamond to this ring, and we're just looking at fire resistance, this says 26.1%, right? This says that it adds 7% resist all. So in that case, the fire resist should go up by 7%. But this number for fire resistance, even if it goes up by 7%, which I don't even think it does because of diminishing returns, it only goes up by 2. So we get 54.2 fire resist, which equates to 27.1. Okay? So we'll take this out and look at it again. 26.1 to 27.1 because of a 7% resist all gem, right? So it equates to 1% damage reduction to have this added. Or if we follow the armor formula and I put armor in this instead, now my armor value goes up to 45%, of which I get 50% of the 45, which would add an additional 2.5% to my fire resistance damage reduction. See what I'm saying? So it's just better to have flat damage resistance, or like resist or reduce damage up close, or reduce damage at distance, or just flat armor value. Any of the stuff that says like reduce damage by X% is going to do much, much more for you than anything that says like fire resist, resist all, elemental resist, because it doesn't actually give you like any actual damage reduction other than like a percentage point or two. Do we think it's a bug or intended? I have no idea. I'm just telling you how it works right now. I don't know if it's a bug or not. All I know is that right now, the stats of what this says that it's doing is incredibly misleading, because 7% resist all is only reducing the amount of damage that you're taking by 1%, which means that you're getting like 2.5%. Like this is 28.7% fire resist, right? So if I take this off, my fire resist goes down to 41, 20.5. So for 28% to almost 29% fire resist, it's only giving me effectively like, what, 4%, right? I go from 20.5 to 26.1. So I get like 5 and change % of actual damage reduction by having 28% fire resist on my gear. See what I'm saying? So it isn't like when you're looking at gear and it says like flat resist, it doesn't actually jive. Like I get more damage reduction out of this amulet having 4.8% total armor than I would get out of that having 35% resist to fire. It just doesn't make sense, you know? So, which is why I say if you just get like damage reduction up close, it's going to do way more for you, because damage reduction up close is a 1-to-1 value, right? If I get 7% damage reduction, it's reducing all damage that I take, even if it's at a certain distance, by 7%, which is across the board, right? So that's it. It's the only thing that really makes sense. Armor over everything. Yeah. So if it were me, I would be slotting armor for your gem slots. I would be putting skulls in all of your jewelry, because the armor value increases will do more for you than if you try to like focus resist or use resist all or any of that stuff. The formula just doesn't work like really well, or if it's intended, it's misleading. What do you recommend for armor sockets? I just put flat life in them. There's people that advocate for life, and then if you have builds that generate fortify, you could do sapphires, which are damage reduction when fortified. If you have like fortified generation, damage reduction when fortified would be massive, because you're talking 2, 4, 5 gem slots. You got 5 gem slots, and at 2.5%, right? That's 5, 10, 12.5% damage reduction if you can keep fortify up. For me, like, it would work, but I only have 1 fortify generator, so it doesn't really work for me, you know? It's a really long snowball for me to generate fortify enough to be able to justify not having, like, just flat, like, extra life.